Hey, my name is Dustin. Today I'm bringing you some book reviews that I've read during the past while. I did a readathon with my friends for half a week, for 4 days, and I read some graphic works, and in this video I'm going to give you some quick thoughts on that. So the first book that I read was A Silent Voice Volume 1 by Yoskitoki Oima, and this is a manga and it follows the story of a boy and a girl, and the girl can't hear and the boy bullies her because of that, and then that happened in elementary school, and then later they meet again in, I don't know if it's high school, or because this book mainly focused on the story in elementary school, and like the rest of the series is more, I think, about when they see each other again as teenagers. So this book is really kind of an introduction to the series. I had a little bit of trouble getting into this book because I didn't quite feel for the main character at first, because you more follow him than her, and as someone who's been bullied herself, I feel more for the person being bullied than for the person who's doing the bullying. So I found it a shame we didn't see more from her perspective. I did like the disability representation in this, although I do not know if it's accurate. But later on I got a bit more into the book. We got to see some of his backstory, and so by the end of it I really wanted to read the rest of the series, which I'm planning on doing. I'm gonna read a volume every month for like until I finish the series. There's 7 volumes in total. So yeah, I like this. A quick overview of the manga's art. Next up, I read Donald Duck Pocket 217, Terug in the Tijd. This is a collection of Donald Duck comics. They're also about other Disney characters in sort of the Donald Duck world, like Mickey Mouse. And I hadn't read this one before. I have a couple of them still unread, but I've read most of the pockets that I own. And yeah, I like this collection. I didn't love it. It's not one of the best ones, but I enjoyed reading. And then the Donald Duck pocket. The third book that I read was Cucumber Quest 1, The Doughnut Kingdom by Gigi. And I heard about this on Chelsea Darling Reads' channel, and I got immediately intrigued. This is a fantasy graphic novel series, and what I really liked about this was that it sort of played with gender stereotypes, because it's about a brother and a sister, and he wants to go to magic school, and he's a bit more, I guess, of a sort of scaredy cat, whereas people think he's the hero, whereas she, the sister, is really all about the sword fighting. And so I liked that it played with gender stereotypes. I also liked the humor. There's quite a bit of humor in there, and I like that. I really liked the art. I liked the art style in this graphic novel. I like that the characters are all, a lot of them are bunnies, and their names are also interesting, because his name is Cucumber, her name is Almond, and they meet like a variety of other characters that all have interesting names to do with food, and I thought that was really nice. So I really like this one, and I have the first 4 books in the series. This is book 1, and so I'm planning to read 1 a month. I don't know if it is finished at 4 volumes or not. I have a feeling there might be more of it then, but yeah, we will see. Then I read a very short book called Pakmadan by Paul van Loon. This is really a book meant for children to help them to learn to read. I picked it up, well, I bought it, I mean, because it has Dolfje Weerwolfje in it, and I really like the normal books about Dolfje Weerwolfje. So when I saw this for cheap, I picked it up as well. I liked it, but it was not as good or as detailed as like the normal novels about Dolfje Weerwolfje, which are meant for maybe 6 to 8 year olds, whereas this book, well, I'll show you, this book is really yeah, meant for younger children. So it was an okay story, but I'm not really the target demographic of this book, and I prefer like the other, I guess, the books for older children with this character. Then I read another book by Paul van Loon. He is a Dutch children's book author, and he has written a lot of books. I've read quite a few of them. And this is a book in the series about Foeksia, and this is Avonturen in Heksenbos, and it's a compilation of short stories about the witch, the mini witch, and this was partially a reread for me, as it turns out, because I had already read some other stories in this book, but not others, because I have read books in this series, and so from the library. So this is like a part reread and a part new read for me. I will admit I went through the stories I've read before a bit quicker, because I read them, I think, last year from the library, so relatively recently, so it was a bit too recent for me to really enjoy those again. And overall I prefer other books by this author, but yeah, I particularly enjoyed in this one the stories I didn't know yet, because the ones I did know, yeah, I guess they're maybe not as interesting upon the reread. Next up was Dierenfabels by Max Velthuijs, and this is a picture book, and it has three little stories in it: the Eend and the Vos, the beer and the Varkentje, and the Olifant and the Krokodil. So it is a picture book in about each fable is about 2 characters. And yeah, I enjoyed this picture book. I mainly know Max Velthuijs from his books about Kikker, or I guess Frog you would call him in English. So yeah, this was nice. Then I read Marbles, Mania, Depression, Michelangelo and Me, a graphic memoir by Ellen Forney. And this is a graphic memoir about Ellen Forney, and she has bipolar. And I picked this up because not only do I like to read graphic memoirs, as you might know if you follow this channel for a while, but I know someone with bipolar. I'm gonna show you some of the art. It's a bit difficult because the pages are sort of, there are a lot of different art things in here. So it's hard to find one page that represents it all, if that makes sense. I really like this memoir. I personally have suffered with depression multiple times in my life, so the chapters in here dealing with depression I particularly felt on a personal level, and I could relate to that. I'm sure it's not entirely the same if you have bipolar and you're in a depression cycle versus when you have a depression, but it made me think back of my time when I was really depressed, and so yeah, it was a bit of an emotional read for me, and also because of that person I know. And so yeah, I thought this graphic novel was really good. I should also mention that it is LGBTQ, so I liked that was a part of the story. And yeah, this was a good read. This one's a reread for me, and this is Caveboy Dave, book 1, More Scrawny Than Brawny. This is by Aaron Reynolds and Phil McAndrew, and I actually read this book from the library, I think last year, in 2018, and I really liked it, so I bought myself a copy, and I also pre-ordered book 2. So I thought I'd reread this one this month, and then next month I get to read volume 2. And I wanted to reread this one because then I'll have read my own copy as well, and to refresh myself, like what happened. This is historical fiction, and it takes place in the prehistory. And it's basically about Dave, who wants to be an inventor, who is an inventor, but he has to go through this challenge in which he has to prove that he and his other classmates have to prove that they can capture an animal, like hunt an animal, and so that they can be adult hunters and help the village that way. Anyway, yeah, I liked rereading this. I really liked the art. It was a nice story. Yeah. So next I read Seconds by Bryan Lee O'Malley. I have read Lost at Sea by Bryan Lee O'Malley, and it was an alright read for me, but not like I didn't enjoy it that much. Despite that, I did buy Seconds because I had heard good reviews from people about this book, and I am pleased to say that I liked this graphic novel a lot more than Lost at Sea. This is about Katie, and she works at a restaurant, or has a restaurant, and basically she is given the opportunity to erase a mistake and have a do-over. Here is some art, and she wants to start her own restaurant, and yeah, I quite like this book. So there is some sort of magical realism kind of with these do-overs, and yeah, I like this book a lot. I'm trying to keep this short because I feel like this video is already pretty long, and obviously we're getting through quite a few books. Next up, I read Mighty Jack by Ben Hatke, and this is colored by Alex Campbell and Hilary Sycamore. This is book 1 in the series. I think the series is called Mighty Jack, and this is about Jack and his sister Maddie. It says in the blurb that she has autism. In the book, this word is not specifically mentioned. It's more that she doesn't talk, but the word autism is not mentioned, and in a way I kind of wish it was, though it is in the blurb. So yeah, I guess most people do read the blurb before they read the book. But yeah, I guess I wish there was a bit more representation about that. But other than that, I did really like the story in this book. The children obtain a box of magical seeds, and things go on from there. I would say this is fantasy, and I really like the art. It was colourful, and yeah, I really liked this book. However, it ended on such a cliffhanger that while I was planning to save book 2 for next month, I simply had to read it straight away because I am not a big fan of cliffhangers. I try to wait with reading most series until all the volumes are published. I will buy them, but then maybe sometimes read the first volume, but not all of them, because I don't like cliffhangers, and also I tend not to, if it's been a while, then I don't remember what happened in the previous books. Anyway, so then I read book 2, Mighty Jack and the Goblin King, and I'm pleased to say that the storyline was sort of wrapped up in these 2 books. So there will be a book 3, which I will be pre-ordering. But yeah, I enjoyed this book. Obviously I can't tell you what it's about because spoilers, but yeah, I like this book just like I liked the first book. So yeah. After that, I had 2 Ben Hatke books left that I own, so I was like, well, I might as well read these 2 now as well. So I read Nobody Likes a Goblin by Ben Hatke. This is a picture book, which I didn't actually know when I bought it, but because I ordered it online. But yeah, this was a really cute picture book. I liked it, but had I known it was a picture book, then I might not have bought it, because picture books can be quite expensive, and obviously that's worth it if you reread it a lot with your children or your child. But for me, as an adult, I prefer to spend most of my money on books that take me longer to read, if that makes sense, that I get a bit more out of. Anyway, but I did like this picture. It was a nice picture book, but I didn't like it as much as the Mighty Jack books. Little Robot by Ben Hatke. This is a graphic novel for, I would say, young children. There isn't a lot of text in the novel, now that I'm thinking about it. Yeah, there's a few bits of text in this novel, but not much. This is about a little girl and a little robot. It was cute. but I still prefer the Mighty Jack books. They just had a bit more happening in them. But yeah, this is shorter, so yeah. I like this, but didn't love it. We're getting close to the end now. Then I read Bake Sale by Sarah Varon. And I liked about this book that all the characters were, well, as you can see, this is Cupcake. Well, let's just say all the characters are like items of food, I guess you could say, and I liked that a lot. This graphic novel is about friendship. I think it is intended for children. It also has a few recipes in here which I liked, but I don't know that they'll particularly be useful for me because this book, I think, is from the United States, and while I can convert the Fahrenheit, there are some other ingredients that I haven't necessarily seen around, at least in the supermarket here, very easily. So yeah, there is that saying that happens sometimes with, if you read a book that's not in the language of your country, that's not really meant for, yeah, well. Anyway, I thought the art of this was cute. And I liked the story. I would have liked to know what would have happened after the ending. But yeah, I like the theme of friendship in this book. Then the second to last book, if that's how you call it, is Mr. Wolf's Class by Erin Nell Steinke. And I found out that the second book in this series is going to be out, I think it was next month, or in the next couple of months anyway. So I will be buying that because I really like this book. This is about Mr. Wolf, who is teaching, who is a new teacher at school, and he's teaching a class of children. And well, all the antics they get up in here. A child disappears, and you get to know the characters. And so this is Mr. Wolf, but I really liked the art. I liked the sort of variety of characters. Yeah, I really like this book. I think it is, he's a teacher at an elementary school, I should say, so I think this can easily also be read with like younger children. And then the last book that I read for this read-a-thon with my friends is Making Friends by Kristen Goodsnook. And this is a book about a girl in middle school who is having trouble making friends, and she acquires this magic notepad, and then anything she draws becomes real. That's basically the premise of this book. And some art. It is nice and colorful. I like this story. So yeah, what happens in this book is she draws herself on the notepad, a friend, and the friend becomes real, and then things go on from there. Her name is Dani. She's the main character, and yeah, so she wants to be more popular basically, and yeah, I liked the book. I didn't love it, but I liked it. So yeah, some magical realism elements in here. Yeah, that was all the books. That was a lot to go through. Thank you very much if you've watched this whole video. I realize not everybody is interested in like these graphic novels, graphic memoirs, picture books, manga, that's fair enough. But I'm happy that you watched this video even if you're not interested in the books. So I appreciate that. I also often watch videos even when I'm not interested in, or when I think the books are not for me. I still like to hear about them and what my booktube friends have to say. Anyway, so thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in my next one. Bye!